The camera pans through deep space, quiet, endless, cold. Stars shine like scattered dust. Nothing moves except a single shadow, a damaged ship drifting through the dark. Her name is the Harmony's Light. Once a proud Kalari trading vessel, now silent and broken. Inside the air is thin and dry. Every sound echoes, a hiss of leaking gas, the faint hum of dying systems. Captain Vel stands on the bridge, his crystal-like skin glowing faint orange. Among the Kalari, this color means worry. He stares at the control panel, its lights flickering like a dying heartbeat. Status report, Vel says quietly. His voice is calm but tired. Engineer Nix, sitting near the cracked engine display, answers. The core is dead, Captain. We've lost main power and half the backup. Her skin, usually bright blue, is now pale gray, a color of fear. Vel closes his eyes for a moment. 12 lives are under his command. 12 lives fading second by second. He looks around the bridge, his crew still at their stations, still hoping for his orders. A faint hum stops. The ship goes completely silent. For the first time since launch, the Harmony's Light drifts without life. Vel breaks the silence. Send a distress signal. All frequencies. Someone must hear us. The communication officer, Sex, nods. Her slender fingers move across the crystal controls. Within moments, the message is ready. This is the Kalari vessel Harmony's Light. Engine failure. Life support failing. 12 crew. Requesting immediate rescue. Sex looks up. Signal sent, Captain. The message rushes out into the void, through dust, light, and time. But space is wide and mercy is rare. Hours pass. Then a day. The responses begin to arrive, one by one. Sex reads them aloud, her voice trembling. The hegemony of Drax declines. Rescue not profitable. Fourth Empire refuses. Weak species should stay home. Union of Tsar, transmission ignored. Each message feels like a blade. The crew lower their heads. Vel's skin flickers with dull red light, shame and anger mixed together. He stands, his reflection shining in the dark window of space. Is this what the galaxy has become? He whispers. No compassion, no honor, only trade and power. No one answers. The next day the ship grows colder. Oxygen levels fall. Condensation freezes on the walls. The crew gathers in the main cargo bay, where air is still stable. They share small breaths from emergency tanks. Vel tries to keep them calm. He smiles even though his light is dimming. He tells them stories of Kalari Prime, of the glowing forests, the rivers that sing. His words bring small comfort. But in their hearts they all know, time is running out. Then suddenly Sex's console beeps. Captain, she says, sitting up straight. There's a signal coming in. Vel frowns. From where? Sex stares at the data. A system not in our charts. Coordinates, 847-2251. Nix looks confused. That area's empty. It shouldn't have any civilization. Vel walks closer. Play the message. The speakers crackle with static. Then a clear, strong voice speaks, simple, direct. We received your SOS. This is Earth Command. Hold position. Help is on the way. Silence fills the bridge. Sex blinks. Earth Command, she repeats. That name isn't in any database. Nix checks the archives. No records. No colonies, no trade stations, nothing. Vel looks thoughtful. Then who are they? The voice repeats once more, calm, confident, certain. Help is on the way. Vel feels something strange, hope. For the first time in days, his orange glow softens to golden light. They're coming, he says. The crew exchange uncertain glances. Could it be true? Most rescues require payment, negotiation, or guarantees. But this message, this voice, asked nothing. No credits. No conditions. Only help. Hours pass. The Kalari repair what they can, but their systems are beyond saving. Outside, space remains silent, until the fourth day. The sensor alarm blinks. Sex's eyes widen. Captain, we're picking up a large object approaching fast. Vel rushes to the front viewer. At first he sees nothing, only stars. Then a shadow moves across the light. Massive. Slow. Powerful. It is not like any ship he has ever seen. Most galactic vessels are smooth, round, and shining, made to look beautiful. This one is dark and sharp, built for war. Its surface is covered in heavy armor. Giant cannons line its hull. The crew stares in silence. Nix whispers, "That's not a rescue ship." Vel doesn't reply. His eyes remain fixed on the enormous vessel. A second later, another shape appears behind it. Then a third. A fleet. Their engines glow white-blue, bright as small suns. A deep voice comes through the comms. This is the United Earth Fleet. Kalari Vessel Harmony's Light, we have you on sensors. Hold position. You are safe now. Sex covers her mouth. They came, she says softly. Vel's golden light grows brighter. No empire had answered. No trading guild. No power that claimed to rule the stars. Only this unknown race, humans. Vel whispers, maybe the galaxy was wrong about the weak. Outside, the Earth fleet moves closer, shadows spreading across the dying ship. And as their lights cut through the darkness, one truth becomes clear. The Kalari had called for help, and the Deathworlders had answered. The dark warship hovered above the Harmony's light like a floating mountain of steel. Every few seconds, blue lights ran along its sides, scanning, measuring, watching. The Kalari crew stood frozen at their stations. None of them spoke. None dared to move. Inside the damaged ship, Captain Vel stared at the massive vessel filling his screen. He could feel the vibration of its engines through the hull, deep, steady, powerful. It was like standing near a sleeping beast. Nix whispered, they said they were coming to help, but Captain, that looks like a warship. Vel nodded slowly. Yes, it does. The comm panel blinked. Sex hesitated, then pressed the receive button. A voice came through, calm and clear, strange yet perfectly understandable. This is Commander Susan Brooks of the United Earth Fleet. We received your SOS. Do not be afraid. We are here to assist. Vel blinked. They speak our language? Sex checked the translator logs. No, Captain. Our system isn't running. The voice is untranslated. A low murmur spread through the crew. Humans, whoever they were, could speak directly to them. Without machines. That was impossible. Vel pressed the comm switch. This is Captain Vel of the Kalari trading vessel Harmony's Light. Our engines are dead. We have 12 crew members alive. Oxygen levels are critical. The human voice replied instantly. Understood, Captain Vel. Hold position. We are locking tractor beams now. The bridge filled with a soft humming sound. Outside the window, beams of pale light reached out from the massive human ship. They wrapped around Harmony's Light like gentle hands. The crew felt the vibration shift. For the first time in days, their ship was moving, not drifting but pulled with purpose. Sex gasped. They're towing us. Vel nodded. His glowing skin shimmered gold for the first time. They're saving us, he said quietly. The boarding. Minutes later, a loud metallic sound echoed through the ship. A docking tunnel locked onto the side hatch. The air pressure equalized with a soft hiss. The crew gathered near the door, uncertain and nervous. Nix clutched her tool belt tightly. What do you think they look like, Captain? She asked. Vel didn't answer. He wasn't sure. Every species in the galaxy had heard stories about death worlds, planets so dangerous that no one could survive there. But Earth? No one had even heard its name. The door opened slowly. Mist from the pressure seal drifted into the corridor. Then they appeared. 5 humans stepped through wearing dark suits with glowing visors. Their movements were calm, confident, practiced. One of them removed her helmet, a woman with steady eyes and a scar across her cheek. She spoke softly. I'm Commander Brooks. You're safe now. Vel studied her face. Her skin was soft, but her eyes, they carried something fierce, something ancient. The kind of strength that doesn't come from power but from survival. He bowed slightly, a Kalari sign of gratitude. Commander Brooks. We didn't expect anyone to answer. She smiled faintly. We don't leave people to die. Behind her, other humans began scanning the ship. They moved with purpose, checking air systems, reinforcing weak panels, bringing oxygen tanks. Everything they did was fast, efficient, and quiet. Sex whispered to Nix, they act like soldiers. Nix nodded. But they came to save us, not to fight. Human technology. One of the engineers set a small gray device on the floor. He pressed a button and a wave of clean air spread through the corridor. The crew gasped. It was repairing the oxygen levels in real time. Vel watched with wide eyes. What is that? He asked. The human smiled. Field purifier. It converts carbon dioxide into breathable air. Portable version. The Kalari had never seen anything like it. Even the great empires didn't have tech that small or that fast. Within an hour, the humans stabilized the entire ship. Power systems restarted, lights brightened, and the hum of life returned to Harmony's Light. The crew stared in disbelief. Vel placed a hand on his chest, overwhelmed. You've saved us. We owe you everything. Commander Brooks shook her head. No debt, Captain. Humanity doesn't trade in mercy. Her words echoed in the silent bridge. Vel repeated them softly. Humanity doesn't trade in mercy. The warning. As the crew celebrated, Brooks received a call through her wrist comm. A deep male voice spoke urgently. Commander, we've got movement. Multiple ships inbound, Drax vessels. They intercepted the SOS signal. Brooks frowned. Enemy ships? Yes, ma'am. 6 of them. Fast and armed. Vel overheard. His skin dimmed orange again. The Drax, they must have tracked our signal. They'll destroy us for sport. Brooks turned toward him. Her expression didn't change. They won't. She tapped her comm again. Fleet Command, deploy Guardian and Titan squadrons. Form defensive wall. No one touches our guests. Through the windows, the Kalari crew watched as the human warships repositioned themselves. Dark shapes moved like predators taking their stance. Laser grids lit the blackness of space. Nyx whispered, they're preparing for battle? Vel stood silently. He had seen war before, but never like this. There was no panic in the human voices. No chaos. Only precision. It was as if the humans had done this 1,000 times before. The first strike. Moments later, the Drax fleet appeared on the scanner, 6 red dots moving fast. The crew could hear the static of open comm channels. Weak Kalari ship detected. Prepare boarding sequence. Wait, who are those others? Unidentified fleet, they're locking weapons. Commander Brooks smiled faintly. Let's introduce ourselves. She gave the order. A single human warship fired first. A bright beam of blue energy cut through the darkness and sliced a Drax cruiser in half. No warning. No hesitation. The other human ships followed, precise, unstoppable. The entire Drax fleet vanished in minutes, leaving only drifting debris. The Kalari stood speechless. Vel whispered, they destroyed them, all of them. Brooks turned to him. Her voice calm. They attacked a distress signal. That was their choice. And see. Silence returned to space. The wrecks of Drax ships floated among the stars. The humans went back to work, calm, efficient, unshaken. Vel finally spoke. Commander Brooks, your people, what kind of world creates humans like you? Brooks looked at him, her expression unreadable. A death world, she said softly. Our planet tried to kill us every day. It taught us how to fight for life, and for others who can't. Vel's golden light glowed bright again. He understood now. The galaxy had ignored their cry for help, but humanity had answered. Not for profit. Not for fame. But because it was right. As the camera pulls back, the human fleet moves silently through the stars, towing the Harmony's light toward safety. The narrator's voice closes the scene. In a galaxy where compassion was extinct, humanity reminded the stars what it meant to care. The stars burned quietly again. Where once 6 Drax cruisers had hunted, now only dust and wreckage drifted through space. The battlefield was silent. No fire. No screaming. Only quiet, the kind that comes after something unstoppable passes by. The Harmony's light floated beside the enormous human fleet, safe at last. The Kalari crew watched from their windows as drones moved around them, repairing broken hull plates, sealing oxygen leaks, bringing warmth back to the ship. Inside the bridge, Captain Vel stood beside Commander Brooks. Her face was calm as ever, eyes fixed on the screen showing the destroyed Drax ships. Vel spoke softly. You destroyed an entire fleet in minutes. No one fights like that. Brooks didn't answer at first. She seemed to study the data as if she were reading something old and familiar. Then she said, we don't fight unless we have to. But when we do, we finish it. Vel nodded slowly. Her tone wasn't proud. It was simply truth. The message spreads. Word of the battle spread faster than light. In less than 2 standard days, every major power in the galaxy had heard the same story. Unknown species from an uncharted system. Responded to a Kalari SOS. Destroyed the Drax fleet in 7 minutes. The Galactic news networks called it the Deathworlder incident. The name came from old legends, stories about planets so dangerous that no civilization could rise from them. Yet somehow humanity had not only survived such a world, they had thrived. In the council hall of the Fourth Empire, generals argued over grainy footage of the human fleet. Their ships were made of dark metal, not the polished crystal used by most species. They looked brutal, ancient, powerful. General Var hissed, look at the energy readings. Their weapons tear through Drax shields like paper. No known plasma system can do that. A scientist replied nervously, their technology doesn't match any design in our archives. They don't use quantum arrays or crystal cores. Their systems are mechanical. Var slammed his fist on the table. Mechanical? Impossible. That's primitive. But another officer whispered, then why did the Drax die? Silence fell over the room. The Council's fear. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Dozens of species filled the great chamber, their colors and forms flickering under the Council lights. At the center, a projection showed the human fleet towing the Harmony's light to safety. Ambassador Teller of the Hegemony spoke first. These humans must be contained. A species that uses such weapons cannot be trusted. A voice from the back, an old scholar from the Altari, replied. Contained? You mean controlled. Or perhaps you mean destroyed before they destroy us. Teller's colors flashed red in anger. They are Deathworlders. They come from a planet where everything kills. Even their oceans eat metal. Imagine what they will do to us. The hall erupted in noise, fear, anger, panic. But one voice cut through the chaos. It was Ambassador Laura of the Kalari, speaking for the survivors of the Harmony's light. She stood before the council and said calmly, when no one else answered our cry for help, humanity did. They saved 12 lives and asked for nothing. If they are Deathworlders, then perhaps we should be grateful that death itself chose mercy. The chamber fell silent. For the first time the galaxy felt something strange, not just fear but guilt. Inside the human fleet. Meanwhile, on the flagship UEF Valiant, Commander Brooks watched the transmissions spread. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Harris, frowned at the glowing map of star systems. Everyone's talking about us, he said. They're calling us Deathworlders. Brooks smirked slightly. They're not wrong. Harris looked uneasy. Do you think they'll attack? Try to test us. She folded her arms. Let them try. Her voice was calm, not arrogant, like someone who had seen too much war to fear another one. Outside the window, the human fleet hung in formation, dark shapes against the stars, silent but alive. Vel entered the command deck, his glow returning to a warm yellow. He had insisted on thanking the human crew personally. Commander, he began, I don't understand how your people can fight with such power and still show such kindness. Brooks turned to him. Power means nothing if you forget why you fight. Vel bowed his head. And why does humanity fight? She looked out at the stars again. Because once no one came when we called for help. We swore never to let that happen to anyone else. Vel said nothing. But he understood. The Drax's revenge. Far away in a dark system at the edge of known space, the surviving Drax gathered. Their leader, Overlord Krass, watched the battle footage in silence. He rewound it again and again, each time the same image. A single human beam tearing his flagship in half. His claws dug into the steel armrest. Primitive species, he growled. They think they can interfere with Drax territory? An advisor trembled beside him. But, my lord, they're weapons. Krass turned sharply. Then we will build stronger ones. Gather the fleets. If the humans want to play Deathworlders, we'll show them what true extinction means. The room fell silent. The war drums of the Drax began to sound again, deep, echoing, cold. The whisper in the stars. Back on the Harmony's light, Vel stood at the observation window. Earth's fleet had escorted them safely to a quiet sector. The human ships hovered nearby, watchful, silent guardians. He spoke softly to himself. The galaxy fears them, but maybe that fear is what the galaxy needs. As he watched, the humans performed something remarkable. A smaller ship broke away and entered warp, but its engine signature didn't match any known design. The energy was pure, clean, stable, something no other species had mastered. Nick stared at the readings. Captain, their ships don't just use energy. They control it. Vel smiled faintly. Deathworlders indeed. He looked back toward the distant stars. Somewhere out there he knew the Drax were planning revenge. But he also knew this. If war came again, the galaxy would remember the name humanity. And see. The narrator's voice closes the part. Across 1,000 worlds, whispers spread of a new power from an uncharted system. Some called them saviors. Others called them monsters. But one truth was clear. When humanity heard the SOS, the stars themselves learned fear. The stars of the central systems glowed like fireflies in the endless dark. Around them, hundreds of ships drifted toward the Council world, silver, gold, and crystal vessels from every corner of the galaxy. A storm of politics was about to begin. Inside the Galactic Council Hall, every seat was filled. The vast chamber shimmered with color, scales, fur, and light from dozens of alien species. In the center floated a holographic image of a blue world, Earth. The voice of Speaker Taurin echoed across the room. Order. This emergency session is now in motion. Subject: the species known as humans, origin world, Earth, classification, Deathworlders. A low murmur spread through the hall. Some delegates looked frightened. Others looked angry. But all of them were watching the same footage, humans destroying the Drax fleet and then calmly helping the Kalari survivors. The fear of power. Ambassador Teller of the hegemony spoke first, his body glowing a sharp red. These humans wield ancient and brutal weapons. They must be controlled, or contained. Across the hall, Ambassador Laura of the Kalari rose slowly. Her voice was steady, but her tone carried strength. You call them brutal because they fought back. They saved us when no one else even responded. Teller hissed. You speak like they are gods. Do not be fooled. If they can destroy a Drax armada, what could they do to us? Laura looked at him coldly. Maybe the question should be, why would they need to? The hall filled with uneasy silence. Everyone knew what she meant. Humanity hadn't attacked anyone. They had only answered a distress call. Still, fear was louder than truth. The secret offer. Far from the main chamber, a smaller meeting was taking place. In a private room filled with blue light, 6 of the most powerful ambassadors met in secret. Teller was among them. He spoke quietly. The humans must be made to join the council, under our control. If they refuse, we isolate them. Block their trade. Starve them of resources. A tall reptilian general flicked his tongue. And if they resist? Teller smiled, his glow pulsing faintly. Then we remind them who rules this galaxy. Arrival of the Deathworlders. Days later, the Council's ultimatum was sent. A message, simple and formal, delivered to Earth's orbital fleet. The Galactic Council demands humanity submit to regulation, surrender its military technologies, and permit Council oversight of all fleet movements. For 2 days there was no reply. Then the humans arrived. A shadow passed over the Council world, not one ship but hundreds. Dark hulls of black steel covered the stars. Every ship bore the same white insignia, UEF, United Earth Fleet. Panic swept through the cities below. Some thought the humans had come for war. Inside the council hall, the air shimmered with tension as 3 human figures entered. Commander Susan Brooks led them, her uniform simple, her expression unreadable. The noise in the room died instantly. The ultimatum. Speaker Taurin began, voice shaking only slightly. Commander Brooks of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council under the charge of military aggression and unregulated weapon use. You will answer for your actions. Brooks folded her hands behind her back. Her tone was calm. We received a distress call. We responded. We protected innocent lives. If that's a crime, then we are guilty. A wave of murmurs rippled through the chamber. Teller rose, eyes glowing crimson. You misunderstand. You have disrupted the balance of power. No single species can wield that much force. You will submit your ships for inspection, or face consequences. Brooks' gaze hardened. Consequences. Yes, Teller hissed. If Earth refuses, the Council will embargo your systems and... A sudden deep hum filled the air. Every screen in the chamber flickered. A new hologram appeared above them, a live feed from orbit. The humans had powered up their fleet. Thousands of weapons systems glowed red, ready, but silent. Brooks looked around the room. We do not seek war. But we do not kneel. Her voice grew louder. You call us Deathworlders. You're right. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day, storms, fire, beasts, ice. We survived it all. So if you think threats will work on us, you have not learned what the word human means. The silence that followed was total. Even the lights of the council seemed dimmer. The warning. Laura of the Kalari stood slowly. She turned toward the other delegates, voice trembling with emotion. They saved my people. They showed compassion when none of you did. And you reward them with fear. If this is the justice of the council, then perhaps it is time for something new. Gasps filled the hall. A few other ambassadors began to nod, quietly but visibly. The power of the council was breaking, piece by piece. Teller shouted, You dare defy the council? Brooks looked directly at him. No. We simply remind you, the galaxy doesn't belong to tyrants. It belongs to those who fight for it. She turned and walked out, her footsteps echoing. Outside, her fleet began to move, slowly, majestically, leaving the planet's orbit. From the observation towers, thousands watched as the human ships disappeared into the stars, leaving only silence behind. The aftermath. The council meeting collapsed into chaos. Some demanded war. Others demanded peace. But none of them could deny what they had seen. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's rulers had been defied, and they had done nothing. Because deep down they all knew the truth. If humanity ever decided to fight, the stars themselves might burn. Final scene. In her flagship, Commander Brooks watched the council world fade behind them. Harris stood beside her, still tense. "They'll come after us," he said. Brooks nodded. "Let them. The galaxy needs to decide what kind of future it wants." She looked out at the stars, eyes cold but calm. "We'll be ready." The camera zooms out, the human fleet glowing faintly against the endless dark. Then the narrator's voice closes the chapter. The council tried to tame the Deathworlders. Instead they woke something far greater. A humanity that no longer asks for permission. The stars had gone quiet. Weeks had passed since Earth's fleet left the council world. The galaxy watched, nervous and divided. Some worlds admired humanity's courage. Others whispered that they had made an enemy of everyone. The humans called it peace. But peace in the galaxy never lasted long. A shadow in the dark. Far beyond the central systems, in a silent corner of space, a secret fleet gathered. Hundreds of ships drifted around a dying star, their hulls painted black to vanish against the void. They bore no banners, no signals. But their command code came from one source, the Galactic Council Defense Bureau. Inside the lead ship, Ambassador Teller stood beside a massive holographic map. "This," he said coldly, "is Earth's network. Their colonies, outposts and trade routes. We strike them quietly, no declarations, no warnings. By the time they realize, it will be too late." Around him stood generals and spies from 6 different species. They were united by one emotion, fear. One of them, a small reptilian officer, looked uneasy. "Are you sure this is wise? The humans?" Teller cut him off. "They are a primitive species with dangerous toys. But they are still only one world. We are a council of hundreds. We end this now, before they rise any higher." The first strike. The first attack came in silence. A human mining station orbiting Tau Ceti went dark. No distress calls. No survivors. Only wreckage. Then another. A research colony on Europa 4 vanished. Sensors showed a brief energy spike, then nothing. The humans investigated quietly. But the evidence was gone. The killers had erased their tracks. Commander Susan Brooks watched the reports appear on her desk one by one. She said nothing for a long time. Finally, she turned to her intelligence officer, Harris. "Someone's testing us. Find out who." Harris nodded grimly. "Already working on it." For the next 3 weeks, the humans searched the dark between stars. And in the end they found it. The hidden fleet. Deep near the galactic rim, a drone scout picked up something strange. A shadow that shouldn't exist, too symmetrical, too cold. When the drone approached, its sensors caught a glimpse of metal, and then it was destroyed. But not before sending one last image. When Brooks saw it, her face turned to stone. "That's Council design," she whispered. "They're coming." She ordered all fleets to silent readiness. No broadcasts. No warnings. Earth prepared, in silence, just as the Council had planned to strike them. Meanwhile, in the Council. Back in the great marble halls, Teller stood before the Council's hidden committee. He smiled as he gave his report. "Our operation is in motion. Earth will never trace it back to us." Speaker Taurin looked uneasy. "This war cannot be public. If humanity finds proof." "They won't," Teller interrupted. "By the time they respond, their colonies will be gone." But he didn't know, they already knew. The hunters become the hunted. 3 days later, the Shadow Fleet reached the edge of Sol System. Their stealth drives hummed, invisible to most sensors. They prepared for the final phase, strike the outer defenses, cut off Earth's network and vanish. Then their radar screens lit up. Thousands of red dots appeared all around them, human ships. Cloaked. Silent. Waiting. A voice came through the comms. "Come. Female. Colt. This is Commander Brooks of Earth Fleet Command. We've been expecting you." Before the enemy could react, every human ship opened fire. The darkness exploded with light, pure white and orange bursts ripping through the void. The soundless storm lasted less than a minute. When it was over, half the Council's secret fleet was gone. The rest tried to flee, but human ships were already behind them. They had surrounded the attackers before they even arrived. Teller's last message. When the council learned what had happened, chaos broke out. Ambassadors screamed, demanded explanations. Teller sat alone in his chamber, staring at the transmission from the battlefield, his fleet burning. He slammed his fist against the table. How did they know? How could they? A voice interrupted him. From the shadows, a human transmission appeared on his console. You thought we wouldn't see, Brooks' voice said. But we learned long ago, monsters hide in the dark. And we're very good at hunting monsters. Teller froze. The message ended with coordinates, the location of his own hidden base. Moments later, alarms screamed through the building. Outside his window, streaks of light filled the sky, human ships entering orbit. Teller whispered one last word. Impossible. Then the feed went dead. The galaxy reacts. Within hours, every world in the Council territories knew. Humanity had uncovered the secret war, and won. But instead of boasting, they did something no one expected. They released every piece of evidence publicly, the attack orders, the recordings, the names of those responsible. And then, in one simple broadcast, Commander Brooks said, "We will not rule. We will not conquer. But if you come for us in the shadows again, we will bring you the light." Her words echoed through 1,000 systems. For the first time in history, the galaxy was silent, not from fear but from realization. Humanity had become something new. Not conquerors. Not victims. Guardians. Final scene. The camera pulls back, Earth below, its blue glow calm and peaceful. Above it, the human fleet drifts silently, watching the stars. Harris stands beside Brooks. "They'll think twice before trying again," he says. Brooks nods slowly. "Good. Maybe now they'll finally understand." He glances at her. "Understand what?" She smiles faintly, eyes on the endless dark. "That sometimes mercy is stronger than fear." The screen fades to black. The sound of distant thunder echoes across the void. Text fades in. The War of Shadows ended before it began. Because the Deathworlders were already watching. The galaxy had changed. Not through war, but through truth. When the humans released the evidence, every secret message, every hidden plan, every order to attack, it spread faster than any fleet. Billions saw it. For the first time, the galaxy saw who the real enemy was. The Council's mighty halls grew silent. Worlds that once obeyed without question now turned away. Empires crumbled. Old alliances shattered. And in that silence, a new idea began to grow. A signal of hope. In the outer colonies, the Kalari rebuilt their cities. Their once bright crystal towers glowed again under alien suns. Every home carried a small blue flag, the mark of those saved by humans. Ambassador Laura stood before her people. She looked at the horizon where human ships still patrolled, not as conquerors but as guardians. "When we were dying," she said softly, "no one came. But they did. And they asked for nothing in return. Maybe it is time we do the same, not for payment but for hope." Her words spread from world to world. First the Kalari, then the Threx, then even the smaller fringe races began to whisper a new word: alliance. The Council fractures. Back in the Galactic Council, Speaker Taurin sat alone in the vast hall that had once held hundreds of voices. Now only a few lights glowed. He stared at the reports floating before him. Worlds leaving the Council, trade collapsing, fleets deserting. The old order was dying. Teller was gone. His secret fleet destroyed. The age of fear was over. One of his aides entered quietly. "Speaker, the humans have called for a meeting. They want to talk about peace." Taurin looked up, eyes wide. "After everything, they still want peace?" The aide nodded. "They've invited all species, even us." Taurin closed his eyes for a moment, then whispered, "Then maybe there's hope for us all." The summit of Earth. Months later, ships from dozens of worlds arrived at Earth. They came not for war, but for something new. The humans had built a massive station in orbit, shining white against the black of space. It was called the Haven Accord. A symbol of unity, built from the wreckage of old battles. Inside, Commander Susan Brooks stood at the central platform. Her voice echoed through the chamber as hundreds of ambassadors watched. "We do not wish to rule," she began. "We wish to stand together. The galaxy has lived in fear for too long. Fear of war, fear of loss, fear of each other. That ends today." She paused, looking at the crowd, Kalari, Threx, Surians and even former Council races. Each one silent. Listening. "The alliance will not be built on power or wealth or control," she said. "It will be built on something rarer: trust." The hall remained still. Then one by one ambassadors began to stand. Laura of the Kalari was first. "We stand with humanity," she said proudly. Then another. "The Threx stand with humanity." Then another and another. Soon the entire chamber was filled with light, hundreds of species uniting for the first time in history. The Alliance of Worlds was born. The new dawn. Across the stars things began to change. Human fleets escorted Kalari ships rebuilding shattered colonies. Threx engineers shared their warp drives with smaller worlds. Medicines, food, and technology flowed freely through the new network. The galaxy, once ruled by fear, was now connected by cooperation. And yet, in the quiet of her quarters aboard the Haven Accord, Brooks sat alone, staring at the stars. Harris entered, holding a datapad. "The last Council worlds have joined the Alliance," he said. "It's done." Brooks smiled faintly. "Not done," she replied softly. "Just beginning." He looked at her. "Do you think it will last?" She turned toward the window. Beyond it, Earth glowed like a blue jewel, fragile but bright. "Maybe," she said. "Maybe not. But at least now, we're trying." The legacy of the Deathworlders. Centuries later, historians would look back at that day, the day humanity offered peace instead of domination. They would call it the beginning of a new age. Some would still whisper the old name, Deathworlders. But it no longer meant fear. It meant something else now, resilience, courage, and mercy. In every language, across every world, one phrase became legend. When the stars went dark, the Deathworlders lit the way. Final scene, cinematic ending. The camera drifts through space, passing worlds, fleets, cities built together by many species. A narrator's voice echoes softly. The galaxy learned that true strength is not in the fire of weapons, but in the hands that reach out after the smoke clears. Slowly, the shot pans upward, revealing the stars forming the shape of a human hand stretched toward the light. Music swells, calm, hopeful, endless. Text fades in. The HFY Saga, The Deathworlder Legacy. End of Chapter 1.